Welcome along to the show this Wednesday. It's Wednesday morning at the time of recording. Saints face Liverpool this evening, and I haven't had opportunity to sit down and record anything because it's been so busy the last few days. I've been on and off the radio doing so many bits and bobs, but it's been crazy since Sunday and that sacking of manager Russell Martin. And I want to reflect upon that first and foremost, and I'm going to do that in a podcast that I'm recording actually later on this afternoon with Controversial Chris, but I'm going to reflect upon it myself now, and I want to talk about certainly the game on Sunday, and I want to reflect upon Russell Martin's time as a Southampton manager, why I've got that opportunity to do so. I want to go back to the start of when he came to the football club. I think he did a really good job last year. It was a tough gig to take on. The Saints were in a bit of a mess, a massive turnover of players. He had to oversee a pretty horrific summer at the football club. There's no doubt about that. Lost our captain, James Ward-Prowse, who was a big blow at the time. He started the season playing for Saints, Romeo Lavia, and it goes on. And there was always going to be a turnover of players. And Dejan Kaleta-Carr went out, where players go out on loan, left, right and centre. And he had an opportunity to bring a few of his players in as well. He made a few signings as well, and tried to build a team that was going to be a possession-based football team. Flynn Downs come in, and he was brilliant last season. Taylor Harwood-Bellis, and I thought we were really going in the right direction. Yeah, there was a few wobbles throughout that campaign, which is always going to be when there's so many games of football. But at the end of the day, Russell got it over the line in the end with the playoff win. And you've got to say that, we were probably going to miss out altogether on the automatic promotion race after the storming start that Leicester had, and Ipswich were so relentless in their pursuit for second. But we go up, and I thought he would have adapted a little bit more than he has done. I went on record in saying it that I thought that he would have adapted more to the Premier League, but he doesn't have another way of playing. Probably didn't get the personnel that he needed, but to continue to play the same way when it's not working was always going to end in disaster, and that was going to be relegation and breaking some records along the way. We're breaking a lot of records right now, so we need to find somebody that doesn't play exactly the same way in this next managerial appointment. But going back to the sacking on Sunday, I'm not convinced by reading what I've read the last couple of days that this sacking was planned. I believe from reading certainly The Athletic, if you can believe what they say, Jacob Tanswell did an article yesterday. They've jumped back in and done a Southampton article after not doing one in a period of time. They don't really focus on us anymore, but they've done an article, and they would have sources because Tanswell worked in and around Southampton a couple of years ago. So look, that he will have sources. So there's no smoke without fire. And he believed in that article that he did that they were not planning to sack the manager Russell Martin before the Spurs game. So for me, is this a little bit... it all happened within the moment. It was all heat of the moment, this. They've obviously got no plan of who they were going to bring in as manager because there isn't anybody in. Because if they had it pre-planned and they had it spot on, it would have been done already. This would have been put in place and done already, and that hasn't happened. And in years gone by, at football clubs up and down the country, and even at Southampton, when you go back to when we were in the Premier League the first time after promotion under Nigel Atkins was sacked and instantly replaced by Maurizio Pochettino within around 24 hours because they lined Pochettino up. They had agreed his contract, whatever, whilst Nigel was the manager, which isn't great that it's done behind someone's back. He'd done his due diligence on Southampton. He'd taken a good look at the football club, and he knew exactly what he was taking on, and he was prepared to walk in the door the minute that Nigel went and to take it on. And he did, and he picked us up straight away, and he obviously made his changes instantly. And do you know what? That is forward thinking. That is pre-planning. And that's what you need to do in this situation. And now we could potentially go into another Premier League game this weekend without a manager. And there's no planning. And I find that a little bit frustrating. I know it's not great lining up managers, but line them up and get ready to go, because Nicola Cortese, he had the right idea about that. I know he wasn't liked by all, but in terms of football running and being ruthless and pre-planning, he was very, very, very good at it. So, yeah, I feel it was probably done in the heat of the moment at half-time. I think they made the decision at half-time. And if you read what you read, it was done at half-time. They had it planned. They probably didn't tell Russell till that post-match press conference that he did. He went down with his press officer, Jordan. I see Jordan walking him out at the end. And it must have been really difficult. And it would have been a difficult position for the press officer to be in as well, because he would have probably known at that stage what was happening, you would think. He would have probably even been involved in the press release that went out pretty quickly. But I've never seen a manager sacked so quickly after a final whistle of a football game, and within 2 hours. I'd done my fan cam in and around Southampton, around the ground. I was walking back to the ferry terminal to get my trip back to the Isle of Wight, and it was already announced. The minute I got there, I was on my phone on the way down, and we were talking about the game, and I was on a live stream. And there was 500 people tuned in, and we were all talking. They were all demanding for a change. Obviously, they were all wearing the stadium. It turned quite toxic. It was sad to see, actually. It was really sad to see. And he was sacked. I saw the announcement. The minute I got there, someone came over to me and said he's gone. And I instantly thought, well, we'll find out who the manager. First thing you think about, who's going to be the manager? Who's it going to be? We'll probably find that out in a couple of days. Maybe we'll find that out tomorrow. And we're now Wednesday, and we're no closer to knowing who the manager is. We'll talk about the potential candidates very, very shortly. And we'll reflect upon some of the messages that I've received across some of my platform. But I've had more interaction in the last 3 days than I think I've ever had on my channel. I looked at the comments across all the platforms, and it's just been absolutely insane who people want to see, who they don't want to see, and the thoughts on Russell Martin as well. And first and foremost, I want to wish Russell Martin all the best for his next job, and I think he'll end up with a good job. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him as a Brighton manager by the end of the season. I just wouldn't. I think he's destined to be the Brighton manager. He lives down there. Look, will be fondly admired by a lot of football clubs, and he will get another job without any question. Whether it's a Prem job remains to be seen, but I wouldn't be surprised. He plays a brand of football that's really, really liked, and he will go on and have a really, really good managerial career. There's no doubt about that. Right, so the next manager of Southampton Football Club. Well, tonight I'm going to the game, so I'm going to create some fan content. I'm going to bring that here to YouTube, but it also be available to download on Spotify. If you tune in on Spotify or in podcast format, there will be a podcast out tomorrow where we will be getting all the fan reaction to who the fans want to see as the next manager of Southampton Football Club, and have a little bit of reflection upon Russell's time at Southampton. It's going to be a busy couple of days on this channel, because not only will we have that, we'll have all the reaction from the Liverpool game. I'm going to vlog that this evening, and I will be doing instant reaction to that as well across my channels. And then Friday, you will see a first ever, it's almost like a bit of an exclusive. Marion Parhas joins me on the Football Martin channel for his first ever podcast, and that will go out on Friday afternoon. So very much looking forward to bringing you some standout quality content here on the Football Martin channel. I've not stopped the last couple of weeks in producing some really good content in my spare time, and I'm really looking forward to bringing that to you. Right, as we come to the back end of this show, let's talk about the potential candidates for the Southampton manager job, because there's been loads of names linked within the last 48 hours or so. I'm going to give you my opinions on the names that have been linked. Do I want to see the certain managers? But I'm going to start off with top of the pops, and it's Casper Holand, and his name is well and truly in the frame. He was the manager of Denmark in the last European Championships. He was an international manager for the last 4 years, and he did a really good job with the Danish squad. He has a mixed bag when it comes to club records from what I've been seeing, but he apparently is one of their standout candidates. He is out of work, so it would be an appointment that would be fairly easy to do if you could convince him to come. The biggest issue is can you convince Casper Holand to come and manage Southampton, a club that will probably get relegated? Because no matter what somebody comes in and does now, we're more than likely to be relegated to the Championship. So would Casper Holand be prepared to come and manage in the Championship? That is the big one for me. I'm not convinced he will. The other name that's been touted, and he will know the football club well, is Danny Rowell. He's at Sheffield Wednesday, a manager that's highly thought of at Southampton, according to reports. He's highly thought of with fans up and down the country. And if you've been watching the Championship this year, he's done an incredible job with Sheffield Wednesday. He's guided them to mid-table. They were 10 points adrift last season when he went in, and they stayed up comfortably under Danny Rowell. He turned them round last season, and he galvanised their squad. And he had the same group of players as well that he pretty much had when he went in. So he did an incredible job at Sheffield Wednesday, and there's no doubt that he's an up-and-coming manager. The issue will be the chairman of Sheffield Wednesday is difficult to do business with. So for that to happen, I think it won't be easy, and it could be time-consuming. And I'm not convinced we're in a position, or the club will be in a position, where they can wait around to try and thrash out deals. And his compensation package is going to be hefty, you would think, because he signed a new contract last year. I think he got a couple of year contract, maybe 3-4 year contract. So how much is it going to cost to get him out of that contract? I would imagine quite a bit. The other man from the Championship that we know well is Carlos Corber, and it emerged yesterday, Tuesday, that he was becoming the favourite for this job. And that was because the club like him. And secondly, he's got a release clause of about £2 million. It's probably not as much as Danny Rowell, but it's still a significant amount of cash. So will Southampton go out and be prepared to pay compensation on the manager? That's the big question. I'm not convinced by Corber, I'll be honest. I find his football a little bit boring. When we played them last season, we outclassed them all 4 times. I thought we were the better team in all 4 games. We had more quality than them, but I just thought he set up to defend and put men behind the ball. And is he going to get results in the Premier League with this group of players playing that way? Probably not. We need somebody that's going to make us a little bit more front-footed, someone that's going to get a press out of our players, get our players fit and get us organised. But it has come out that the club do want somebody that's going to make us more organised. There's no doubt that that's one of the top things you'd be looking for. So I'm not massively keen on Corber, not by any stretch of the imagination. Michael Carrick's name's been thrown around, but there's not been any really strong links with any top reporters. But I do like him. I think he's a manager that'll end up at probably West Ham. I think he's destined to manage in the Premier League, whether that's with Borough and he gets Borough promoted, or he goes on and ends up elsewhere. But Michael Carrick was a name thrown in. John Eustace, his name has been doing the rounds. That the Saints were spoken about a while ago, and it come back around yesterday. Whether he's in the frame, I'm not sure, but I believe it's probably between 2 men, and there were 2 men I first said at the top of this managerial chat segment here, and that would be Carlos Corber at West Bromwich Albion, and also Casper Holand. I think it'd be either one of those 2. My gut feeling is I personally would like to see Danny Rowell, because I think he knows the Championship and he'd be able to guide us next year. And I also believe that he could come and get the players a bit fitter, play a slightly different way of football, but he's young, and will that put the football club off? That's a big thing. And a lot of fans out there, you'll say to me, it's a backwards step. It's a Nathan Jones step, bringing in Danny Rowell. And I'm not sure that I agree with that. I think you have to get the best man for the job, but you need somebody that's going to be prepared to manage Southampton Football Club next season in the Championship, because that is where we are going to be going, unfortunately. And the response at this moment in time to a tweet that I put out last night across my platforms, and I said, not sure on Corber, would much prefer Danny Rowell. Brandon Summers said, I concur, agreed with me. Other responses that I've had would all say the same. Somebody tweeted back and said, a couple of my West Brom mates say he's pretty no plan B, likes to piss around with the ball at the back and makes like for like subs. Reminds me of someone else. That was tweeted to me by Steve Burton, and Sammy replied saying, would suit us like a glove then. So I think he is a manager that likes to play possession-based football and not something that many of us are going to particularly enjoy. What else do we have in replies as well? And I'll grab you a few of those. And a few people's tweeted me about Danny Roll. Would like to see Danny Roll. What else do we have? I'm just going to grab you a couple more. And I think that everybody was saying pretty much the same on Carlos Corber. Not for me, says another fan. I had a tweet about Carl Walker-Peters a couple of days. I thought the Carl Walker-Peters wasn't his best last night. His positioning was all over the place. Do you think he will go in January? I think that he potentially will be. Yes, I do potentially think he will go. Somebody else spoke about the way Silamano was treated the other night. Wasn't great. And a reply comes through. He's been about as useful as a chocolate fire guard. Couldn't believe that he's anywhere near the team. I felt for him the other night. He been waiting for his opportunity, and it would have been tough for him to take. A lot of people saying to me, "Who would I like to see come in?" Says Becky. Who do you think will be the interim manager? Well, we know that Simon Rusk's tonight. He's taking charge for the Liverpool game. And who would I like to see come in? I think I've covered that. Danny Roll is the one that I would like to see come in. So for me, Danny Roll, do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. I want to bring to you one more statistic, actually, and I thought it was a really, really interesting statistic. Mark Chapman was on the Monday Night Club on BBC Radio 5 Live, and he read a tweet. He read a stat out, and I've tweeted it because I thought it was brilliant. He said of last season's 6 playoff winning managers in the top 6 divisions, only Andy Woodman at Bromley is still in charge. Russell Martin has been sacked at Saints. Des Buckingham has gone at Oxford. Scott Lindsay left Crawley for MK Dons. So he's a bit of an anomaly, really, because he's moved, but he's not at the club he got promoted with. Ian Culverhall, he left Boston. And Angelo Harrop left Braintree as well. So interesting that the pressure that is on these managers that get playoff success and take their clubs up a division. And inevitably, the same has happened to our manager, Russell Martin. Saints Liverpool tonight at St Mary's. Looking forward to that one. Be interested to see what the starting 11 looks like. I think it might look fairly different to what we saw on Friday night. Or Sunday night even. Friday, I keep saying Friday night. Sunday night. I think Paul Nuacci will get a start. There's no doubt about that. I think Camaldine will get a game time tonight. Adam Armstrong definitely can't play. He is suspended. I'm not sure where Ryan Fraser was on Sunday. There was an illness in the camp because Cameron Archer was ill. I think Cam Archer will come back in the side as well. And I think it will be an opportunity to relax a little bit more for the players to try and play a bit. They need to show some pride, some commitment. It's windy out there this morning at the time of recording. It is really, really windy out there. So it will be a blustery evening. It could be wet. It will be playing one of the best sides in Europe. Arne Slot is in the stands for this one because he's suspended. So looking forward to seeing how we approach this one. But we need to go out and not concede another 5 goals because the last 2 games I've been to St Mary's, that we've all been to St Mary's, we've conceded 10 goals. Something needs to change. I hope to see somebody in the stands tonight that could potentially be becoming our new manager. And I think if you're all over X and your social media platforms this evening, you will pretty quickly find out if there is anyone there of any significance. There is no doubt about that. That wraps up today's show, with this morning's show. I'll be back this evening with the instant reaction after the Liverpool game. And if you are tuning in on podcast format, I'm going to do an audio download exclusive with controversial crisp, which we're going to sit down and do this afternoon from a cafe in Southampton. Thank you very much for tuning in. Give me all your thoughts in the comments box below. Who would you like to see as the next manager of Southampton